I'm a journalist. I've been reporting on the northeast of India for close to 25 years now. I've reported on its peoples, its culture, its music, its food, its beverages, its politics, its militancy, its insurgencies. And there is this one question that has constantly struck me. Why do people in the northeast of India get on the train so often? I will tell you what the train is, but let's take this forward first. This is the Assam story. Here is a state that has a per capita income of 42,000 rupees. That was in 2012. In the year 1980, that figure was 1,200 rupees. So by all accounts, this state has developed. Now consider this, in the year 1980, Assam had one insurgent organization, namely the United Liberation Front of Assam, the ALFA. By the time the per capita rose to 42,000 rupees in the year 2012, Assam ended up having 27 militant organizations. Question is, why are people in Assam getting on the train? Here is the Meghalaya story. Per capita income, 60,000 rupees plus. Below the national average, but higher than Assam. Here is a state that now has 5 insurgencies. One of those demands separation from the Indian Union, while the remaining 4 are fighting for autonomy for their various peoples. This is how Meghalaya works. Meghalaya is divided into 3 district councils. If you are not a tribal person, you do not buy land here. So in an agrarian economy, the mainstay of the economy, that is land, is safe. Here is also a land where if you are a tribal person, you do not pay tax. Hence, savings are high. Here is also a land where resources above and below the ground belong to the people. In other words, if you strike coal in your backyard, that coal belongs to you. Here is also a land that has a 79+% in terms of literacy, which is higher than the national average. But here is also a land that is now demanding the inner line permit to further regulate the number of people entering Meghalaya. So why are people in Meghalaya getting on the train? And this is how bad it gets in the northeast of India. Manipur has a population of 2.8 million, that's 28 lakhs. And Manipur also happens to have 40 insurgent organizations, which would mean it has one insurgent organization for every 70,000 people. And here is a state that has been under the draconian Armed Forces Special Powers Act since the year 1958, and nothing has changed. I believe the issue lies in the Constitution of India. Here is the preamble to the Constitution of India. It offers you justice, social, economic, and political. It offers you equality of status and opportunity, but it does not guarantee you equality of language, equality of culture. Therein, I believe, lies the problem. The great minds who put our Constitution together did not probably realize then, when times were different, that there was space left for a certain linguistic imperialism. We have a national language, Hindi. Officially, it's an official language, but it is projected as the Rashtra Bhasha. So what happens? Every other language is a notch below Rashtra Bhasha. We live in a linguistic and cultural search sea. You know this island that rose from the bottom of the Atlantic in the 1960s off Iceland. This island rose after a volcanic eruption. Once it got to the surface and started cooling, scientists from across the world went there to study the beginnings of life. In the northeast of India, you study the beginnings of language. You see dialects go from dialect to language all the time. The Boro language was once disdainfully, if I may say, called a dialect. Then in the 1970s, they launched what is now known as the script agitation. They wanted the Roman script. They did not get it, it didn't work. They finally settled for the Devanagari script, which is the Hindi script. Took their agitation forward, got their language into the coveted 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. They became an official language. They went from dialect to language to official language. Consider this. The first missing dictionary of the missing community of Upper Assam was compiled only in 1995. What do you expect these languages to do? Sit back and say, okay, great, my language is not official and I like it. They will fight for space. Here is this list of 22 8th schedule languages of India. That would be to your left. On the right would be the list of unofficial languages. Languages are not, that are not recognized. A recent baseline survey showed that India has 780 languages or more. Out of those, Arunachal Pradesh has 90 plus languages. Assam has 55 plus languages. What do you expect these people to do? They will vie for space. We live in a search sea. They will assert identity. Here's a picture of sal trees. We all know what the sal tree is. This is this hardwood that grows in the northeast of India, in Assam especially, in states such as Jharkhand. These tiny little seeds of the sal tree also happen to have wings. So when they disperse, they normally spread over a fairly large area. But that's not the fun part. Once these seeds have landed on the ground and are embedded, they will send up shoots. If the conditions are not right, these shoots will die back. In other words, they will die outside in. Then they will send up a second set of shoots. If the conditions are still not right, these shoots will again die back, and that will carry on. Maybe 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 times. But the idea is to be not fooled, because by that time, the taproot of the sal tree would have grown and reached into the ground. Finally, when the shoots arrive and the conditions are right, there is no stopping them from growing. They will grow. The government of Jharkhand at one point used to have a harrowing time trying to contain the spread of sal trees. In the northeast of India, languages are like the sal tree. They will die back and bloom. And this is what happens if you do not take notice of these languages and give them respect. The Bodoland agitation was an agitation. Somewhere down the line it spilled over into militancy. We don't even know when and how. We haven't contained it yet. Assam, every militant group here sells the concept of identity. The Assamese identity is at stake. What do you mean by identity? It is linguistic identity primarily. In Meghalaya, the people of Meghalaya are upset that Khasi, Jaintia, and Garo are not on the 8th schedule, while Nepali is, and they will very quickly tell you, Nepal is a different country. This is how bad it gets. In Manipur, Bollywood films are banned. Korean films are welcome. So you can't watch a Hindi movie in Manipur. Bollywood is viewed as this huge behemoth, this beast that undermines Manipuri culture. This tiny little stretch that's blocked out on your screen here, if you look at that area, from Churachandpur to Mizoram, there are 21 movements for autonomy. Question is, how many movements for autonomy can this country handle? How many insurgencies can this country handle? So, go back to the 780 languages. It seems like a daunting task, getting them all official. But also consider this, as a former prime minister of this country said, Mr. Vajpayee said this, that only big countries have big problems. So the idea is to get out there and sort it out. And let's not throw these people the development card. Meghalaya till very recently opposed a railhead. People in Meghalaya believe this development, this rail thing, will also get outsiders. It undermines their identity. The first track that is getting into Meghalaya is in Garo Hills, to a place called Mendi Pathar, whereas it could have been just here. Meghalaya is next door. Khanapara is Meghalaya. All right? Now, it's just not the northeast of India. This towering figure, this politician called M. Karunanidhi, from Tamil Nadu in the year 2010 said business in the Madras High Court should be conducted in Tamil. That should tell us something, isn't it? Now, there is this question of respect and empathy. On your right is Mr. Victor Banerjee, Bengali actor born in Calcutta, went to school in Shillong, looks after his father's blind school in Moran in Upper Assam. Today, he is ambassador of not just the Shankardev movement of Assam, but also ambassador of the Dimasa community in the Dima Hausa district. But that doesn't happen so often. So we need to step in now and change the preamble of this constitution we have. It's a beautiful constitution, that's something we need to do. You know, when I was a child, when I was a youngster, we saw Tiananmen Square happen. We were horrified. Before that, we saw the Assam agitation happen. We were horrified. When Tiananmen happened, we asked ourselves this: how could a government do this to its own people? As I grew up, I began to ask myself this one question: do we have Tiananmen squares happening in our backyard, in your backyard, in the backyard of the Northeast? Like everybody in Shillong, I would play the guitar then. I still play it. I wrote a song then, and I will sing it to you the way I wrote it then in 1989. There was this old man who lived on a train. Something about him said he'd got used to the pain of staying awake all night. I went to the old man one fine morning and said, "Hey old man, are you crazy or something?" He said, "No son, but I got the feeling all right." So I said, "Old man, will you tell me something?" He said, "You tell me first, boy, are you staying all right?" I said, "Guess I could stay for a while, but hey, 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 the train's moving away." "Hey, hey, hey," said, "son, you gotta stay." As the iron wheels kept turning, he said, "Son, I've come from a place that's burning. Try and you see the smoke high in the sky. Back there in Tiananmen Square, in Tibet, Myanmar, you know, there I've seen them people's armies going wild. There I've seen them brothers dying, and I've seen them mothers screaming and weeping all night. The dead don't talk, I know, but they don't lie. And hey, 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 the train's moving away. Hey, hey, hey," said, "son, you gotta stay." Then the old man showed me a gun and said, "Built with the breath of those gone young, it's dipped in their young blood that will never dry. This time we do, but we won't die. We get through life what debts denied us, and we just go on fighting till the job is done." Then he straightened out his old bones and said, "You know, we won half a battle, but the war's still on. And there are more ways to freedom than dying. And hey, 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 the train's moving away. Hey, hey, hey," said, "son, you gotta stay." Talking freedom with nobody lying. Now you must be joking or something. Don't you know for all you buy, there's a price you pay? But if there's a way and you know it, you say it. "I don't talk, son, I'm a mobile hermit." I said, "But sir, you've been talking so long." "That's because, son, I had a son like you. He's been dead 20 days, and you know, they didn't shoot him in the chest. They tied his hands behind him and shot him in the neck. And hey, 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 the train's moving away. Hey, 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 I think I'm gonna stay. And the train keeps moving on. 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 And the train keeps moving, 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 moving on. And the train keeps moving, 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 moving on. And the train keeps moving, 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 moving on. And the train keeps moving, 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 moving on. So why should people be dominated when they can be equal and free in the true sense of the word? Thank you.